Good morning, students of Standard 9th. Welcome to the second video. We are discussing the chapter My Childhood, written by APJ Abdul Kalam. Well, this chapter has been taken from his biography, Wings of Fire, which is very motivational book and particularly for students. APJ Abdul Kalam, as we know, had been a role model for young students, and despite being the president, he made it a point that he visited schools more often, and he was very popular among children. He visited Patna as well, Science College. When I was studying in our convocation, he was the one who gave us the certificate. So that way we have been lucky to have met the great man. This chapter particularly deals with his childhood and what shaped his behavior. Right? Now, if I can't find a slideshow view, look at anywhere, doesn't matter. The first person that had influence on him was his father. Now he has written great lengths about his father at the beginning of the chapter as well as the end of the chapter. First of all, his name was Janul Abadin. He wasn't formally educated, didn't go to school. He was main job was to row boats. That was his job. But he was a man of inborn wisdom. He loved to read, and that's why he was very wise in life decisions. He took decisions very rationally. Most important thing that APJ Abdul Kalam feels about his father is he was a kind person, but an austere one. How he was an austere man? Well, he didn't believe in wasting money on luxuries. So they were not very rich or had ample amount of money, but the problem there was they were not rich or had ample amount of money, but point is he took care of his children, whatever the requirements of the children were. Not only Abdul Kalam but all the brothers and sisters of Abdul Kalam. He took care of all their necessities, both physical as well as emotional. The clothes, the books, everything was provided for. Emotionally they were taken care of. But he was austere. He didn't believe in luxury. And most important thing that Kalam claims to have inherited from his father is honesty and self-discipline. That's Abdul Kalam said he had inherited from his parents. Now, when Kalam was moving out to study in a university in the district headquarters, Ramanathapuram, the mother was not ready to let go of Kalam. She was worried about how the child would manage. But Mr. Janul Abedin told her mother that, okay, we have given birth to them. It doesn't mean we own them. They are children of life itself. Life has found itself. That's why life grows. And they have their own desires and aspirations, and we are nobody to stop them from that. So this is about the father. Now let's talk about the mother who influenced his childhood. The name was Ashia Amma. She too was a kind and generous, the very ideal helpmate of his father. Kalam remembers during his childhood, more outsiders ate in their house compared to the family members. There were less members of the families, but more outsiders used to eat on a regular basis. So even though they were not rich, they were generous, they were kind in heart, and they believed in giving away. Kalam says he has inherited immense faith in goodness from his mother. That's what he believes. From father, discipline and honesty, while mother, faith in goodness. There is always good somewhere, and this is a very good, important faith to have. Most people, generally we don't believe that somebody would be good. We always look at people with suspicion, thinking something ulterior motives they carry, but that is not the case. If you believe in goodness, goodness will come back to you. The most important effect that Kalam's mother had was she taught him secularism. Even though they were a Muslim family, Kalam and his siblings were narrated stories from Ramayana as their bedtime stories, so that they could inculcate good values. Thus, we go on to see how Kalam was never recognized as a Muslim. Nobody, whenever we talk about Kalam, we talk about missile man, we talk about the most efficient, best president of India so far. Nobody talks about his religion because he had nothing to do with it. His religion was humanity. He grew up reading stories of Ramayana in his childhood, right? Now, the third person that had an influence, and that is negative influence. Our life is full of influences of both kinds. This new teacher that once when he was in 5th grade, this new teacher had arrived. Kalam's best friend in the school was Ramananda Sastri, who was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, and Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri was the head priest, so he was a big fellow, a big person in that temple town. The temple was the biggest temple. People from all over the world come to visit the temple, and the high priest of that temple is obviously a very important man. So his best friend was his son, Ramananda Sastri. And the teacher could not tolerate a Muslim boy sitting with a Hindu priest's son. How can a lowly Muslim can sit with a Hindu boy, or that to a Brahmin, that to a priest's son? So immediately showed where Kalam belonged. He sent him to the back row because those seats fitted his social standings. Now this was the first time Kalam felt discriminated. Both he and his friend cried a lot and went and told their respective parents about the kind of behavior he was handed. So this one negative experience in his life, and that too ended up being positive. So believing in goodness is a very good thing, because the man was conservative man, a mean-minded person. He couldn't tolerate Muslims sitting with Hindu and Brahmin boys. So he discriminated. What he thought was correct, he did. But this experience would turn out to be memorable for Kalam. How? Let's figure out. Here is Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri. He was the high priest of Rameshwaram temple. He had very high social standing, obviously, a big man. Now, when his son narrated the story about how Kalam was discriminated and asked to go and sit behind as per his social standing, he didn't like it a bit. He immediately summoned the new teacher and the two boys, and in front of them he scolded the teacher. He said, "How dare you spread discrimination in my town? School is a temple where students go to study. They don't go there to learn discrimination based on religion and caste. So this would not be allowed in my city." So he was given two options: either to apologize, say sorry to the children, or leave the city. The new teacher realized his mistake. When such a big person says something, people understand. So the new teacher realized his mistake. And as a result, what did he do? He apologized and changed his ways. Now the next person who had a deep impact on him was Siva Subramania Iyer, and I think he had the most impact. He was a science teacher. He taught science such a way that Kalam got interested, and he went on to be a great scientist. So Subramania Iyer was an orthodox Brahmin, but he was not conservative. He was open-minded. Right? He did not believe in segregation based on religion or caste. He believed in inclusivity. And once he was fond of Kalam. Kalam obviously was a good student in childhood, so he invited Kalam over to his house to have dinner. The wife was shocked. She was a Brahmin lady, and in her kitchen a Muslim boy entering. She couldn't tolerate it. She refused to serve Kalam. She just flatly refused. What did Shiva Subramania Iyer do? Did he argue with his wife? No. What did he do? He himself served Kalam. The wife was staring at Kalam's face, and Kalam had no idea what was going through the mind of the wife. He told Kalam, if you are on the right path, don't. He invited Kalam again. When Kalam was hesitant, he told him, you see, whenever you are on the right path, we should not bother about what others think. If I am on the right path, others will change their way and become correct. And his word was right. When Kalam went the next time for a dinner, he was served food by the wife. So these are the people who had a lasting impression on Kalam during his early childhood. That will be all for this video. See you again on the third. Till then, bye.